Today, we will recap an action drama movie, titled In Time. This movie tells the story of Will Salas, where he is one of the millions of humans who live by eating time. In the future, people stop aging at 25 years old, and have to buy time to live and struggling with poverty in order to continue living. So, make sure you watch this video till the end, for a better experience. The movie opens with a young man named Will Salas, who we can see on his left arm there is a countdown time for less than 24 hours, where it is the remaining time of life that Will has. Will lives with his mother who has stopped aging at the age of 25, and after 25 years, they will live by using time. At that time their situation was difficult, many bills such as electricity and unpaid rent, but on the other hand Will wanted to celebrate his mother's birthday. Will goes to work, where the city is a time zone with a very low economy. Everyone has to fight to keep the time they have, because if not, they can die into a fresh corpse. In addition, there is one way to find extra time quickly but quite risky, namely by fighting arm wrestle where the winner will get all the time from the person who lost, and the loser will die from running out of time. From that day on taxes and other prices began to increase, and the daily wages received by workers were reduced, leading to social inequality. That night, after Will left work, he went to a bar where his friend Burrell was waiting for him. There was also a well-dressed man there, who turned out to have 116 years of time, which is a lot for someone living in this city. Will approached him to give him a warning, because it would be very dangerous if he was in this city. Someone could steal the time he had until he ran out of it. Soon after, a group of people came who made all the visitors leave, and they were dangerous gangsters who called themselves Minuteman. A man named Fortis was the leader of the gangsters. He invited the rich man to arm wrestle, and it made him look nervous and went to the bathroom to calm down. Unexpectedly, Will came to help him and took him out through the back door. After that they both ran away from the pursuit of the gangsters, until they arrived at a building. They both went inside to hide. For a while they could be safe until morning came. They got acquainted in this rich man named Henry Hamilton, and he came from a different time zone, which is certainly a much better situation than here. His purpose for coming to this city was because he wanted to find a purpose, because honestly he himself was tired of living, although his body would not age, but his mind was filled with boredom to live life, and at that moment he also wanted to die, because as a human being it must die. Henry also said something surprising. He said that for some people who want to live forever, there will be many people who have to die, because in fact the reason behind taxes and other prices always increasing on the same day, is to ensure that people living in low-level time zones will continue to die with very little time left, while rich people living in high-level time zones will continue to be enriched with the time they get from living in low time zones. Hearing that, Will was speechless, but he told Henry one thing: if he had as much time as he did he sure wouldn't waste it. Long story short, the morning arrived. While Will was still asleep, Henry did something unexpected, because he gave all the time he had to Will, and only left 5 minutes for himself. When Will woke up, how surprised he was when he saw all the time he had. When he looked out the window he saw Henry already sitting on the bridge while waiting for his death. When the time was up, Henry was killed on the spot. After the incident, Will went to Burrell's house. He told her everything that happened last night. Not only that, he also gave her 10 years of time because he already considered Burrell as his own brother. With that much time, Will planned to go with his mother to a time zone called Greenwich, a higher time zone in a place where rich people live. In the evening, his mother, who had just finished paying the loan, wanted to go home immediately by taking the bus, but it turned out that the payment fare had increased to 2 hours, whereas before it was only 1 hour, while the remaining time was only 1 hour and a half. If she chose to walk it would spend 2 hours of travel. But she had no other choice but to run to the destination. After walking far enough she tried to ask for help from the people around, but no one wanted to help her. It looks like she has 9 minutes left. Meanwhile Will, who was waiting at the bus stop, did not see his mother get off the bus at all, and felt something was wrong, so he immediately headed to where his mother was. When they arrived at a street they finally saw each other. Quickly Will ran to his mother so that he could transfer his time to her. Unfortunately, not having had time to touch, his mother had already passed away because she ran out of time. The next morning, a group of people found Henry's body under a bridge, and these people were from an agency or organization called the Timekeepers. They had the task of solving crimes and making sure time was where it should be. One of them was named Raymond Leon, and he had 50 years of experience as a timekeeper. On the other hand, Will was picked up by a nice car, and the car would take him to New Greenwich. On the way, Will passed 4 borders between time zones, where Will was required to deposit his time so that he would be allowed to enter. After passing the last border, he finally arrived in the city of New Greenwich, where the atmosphere was very different from the previous city. When he arrived at a hotel, there was a woman who kept watching him. Even for several days, the woman kept watching Will's movements, even to the point of making the whole restaurant pay attention to him. When Will was eating, the woman felt that Will did everything quickly, and that was not the usual thing to do by most people in this city. On the other hand, Ray and his minions managed to find the person who had stolen Henry's time, and that person was Will Salas. They managed to track him down when Will deposited his time to cross 4 borders, and they also knew that at this time Will was in New Greenwich. Meanwhile, Will came to a casino. There he played poker with a wealthy man named Philippe Weiss. In the game, Will bet all the time he had until there were only a few seconds left. However, he managed to win the game and get all the time at stake, which is as much as 11 centuries. This made Phillips quite impressed, and at that time also came a woman who had previously kept an eye on him, which turned out to be the daughter of Phillips, named Sylvia Weiss. Sylvia also invited Will to attend a party held at her house the following night. The next morning, Will bought a luxury car which he then used to go to the Weiss family residence. Upon arrival, he was immediately greeted by Phillips. There was Phillips' wife and mother-in-law. After that, Sylvia invited him to dance. It seems that Sylvia has her own interest in Will. Then Sylvia invited Will to go to the backyard. There is a beach that leads directly to the open sea. Seeing that, Will was very fascinated. In his life he had never seen such a beautiful view. Without much thought, Will immediately took off all his clothes and went swimming. He also invited Sylvia to come with him. After finishing swimming, Will was challenged by Philip to play poker again, and Will gladly accepted his challenge. However, the time guards appeared, and immediately took Will to a room for interrogation. Will then told them the truth, that he did not steal all of Henry's time, but Henry himself gave all of his time to Will. However, unfortunately they all did not believe it. The timekeeper was in charge of making sure the time was where it should be, although they believed that Will did not steal, but the time he had was in the wrong place. Therefore they confiscated all the time he had and left only 2 hours for him. After finishing the interrogation, Will immediately paralyzed the guard there and tried to escape from the house. He also took Sylvia as a hostage and managed to get out easily. In the morning, the two of them continued to drive the car to the old city, but the car they were riding on stepped on mine spikes, making them skid until they fell down. It turned out that the trap was set by the Minuteman, and they took Will's time, and left 30 minutes for each of the two of them. When she woke up, Sylvia was shocked when she saw that there were only 30 minutes left. They immediately fled the location, and soon the timekeeper had arrived at the location, and assumed that the two of them were still alive and had escaped somewhere. It was revealed that the timekeeper had authority, where they were always given 1 day every day, and the 1 day time they got from headquarters sent through their car. Meanwhile, Will and Sylvia arrived at Burrell's house with the aim of asking for a little time from him, because previously Y had given him 10 years. However, his wife said that Burrell was dead. He died from drinking too much alcohol. Hearing that, they immediately went to the pawnshop. There they exchanged Sylvia's diamond earrings, and got enough time for 2 days. After that, Will called Phillips and Raymond to ask for ransom, which was 1,000 years. He asked to send everything the next day, and sent to one of the time ATMs in the area. If they obeyed, then Sylvia would be released. That night they both went to Will's house. There they hid and rested for the night. Long story short, morning arrived. There were many people waiting for the opening of the ATM, as well as Will, who was curious whether Phillips sent all his time or not. But in fact, no time at all was sent by Phillips. Knowing that, Sylvia was disappointed with her father. She felt that her father did not care about her anymore. After that, Sylvia contacted her father. She vented all her disappointment, but it turned out that Phillips had other plans, and at the same time Raymond arrived there and immediately pointed his gun at Will. Seeing that, Sylvia immediately opened fire on Raymond and hit him right in the arm. Quickly the two of them immediately fled by car. By shooting Ray, the timekeeper will assume Sylvia has conspired with Will. After that, Will and Sylvia robbed a car in which there was a rich woman, and they took 1 year of the woman's time, then took the car away. At that time, the timekeeper also designated Will and Sylvia as fugitives. They would also give a reward of 10 years for anyone who could catch them alive. The next morning, they robbed the time bank managed by Phillips. Quickly everyone immediately took all the time capsules that were in the safe. All the time they managed to steal was also distributed to everyone in the city. Because of this incident, the timekeepers became overwhelmed, because there was a lot of time that was not where it should be. It turns out that Will's goal of doing all this is to damage the system and the balance of time in all time zones. Meanwhile, Will and Sylvia were at the hotel, but it turned out that Raymond and his men already knew their whereabouts. Knowing there were time guards out there, they both quickly ran away and there was a shootout between Will and Raymond, which made Raymond almost shot. After getting back down, they both got into the bus and managed to escape. The next day, they went to the inn and rented all the rooms in the inn. That night, the Minutemen were at it again. They interrogated one by one the people who were gathered there to tell the location of Will and Sylvia, because they planned to bring Will and Sylvia to the timekeeper, so they could get a reward of 10 years. A man immediately told them, who was now staying at one of the hotels. Meanwhile, Will and Sylvia were making out in their room, until suddenly Minuteman immediately broke into their room and managed to catch them both. Fortis then challenged Will to an arm wrestling match. Will realized this was all pointless. If he won, then Fortis's men would kill him, but he had no other choice. The match took place. At first Fortis managed to push him and almost drained Will's time, but at the last moment Will managed to turn things around, draining Fortis's time, and immediately shot dead all his men and ended up winning the duel. The scene moved to Greenwich, where Phillips just arrived at his office and he was escorted by dozens of his bodyguards. When he arrived inside, suddenly Sylvia came to surrender herself, but without realizing it, will immediately appear and finish Phillips' bodyguards, then immediately put a gun to Phillips' head, thus making the remaining bodyguards put down their weapons. Where Will told Phillips to open the vault. After opening it, they found a time capsule with 1 million years of stored time, and for Will it would be enough to share it with everyone in his city, and also several time zones with low levels. However, this was known by Raymond, who already knew this was their doing. Quickly Raymond conducted a search. He ordered his men to guard the border and asked them to shoot if Will and Sylvia passed. Fortunately, their car was armored and had bulletproof glass, allowing them to cross the border. When they were almost at the time ATM, Raymond suddenly crashed his car, but Will quickly handed the time capsule to the little girl and asked her to share it with everyone there. When the ATM showed time, people immediately came to him while Will and Sylvia continued their escape. After running very far, Raymond still managed to stop them, but what he didn't realize was that the time in his arm had run out, so he died instantly. While Will and Sylvia only have a little time left, in the midst of the confusion, they saw the Time Guardian car driven by Raymond. Will quickly approached the car and asked for 1 day, then he ran to Sylvia to share his time. Fortunately, they both touched and managed to survive. The TV news reported that everyone in the city had taken to the streets, and now they were crowding over the border to head to Greenwich. The timekeeper who witnessed this could only stand still and did not know what to do, because it also made the fugitive price of Will and Sylvia rise to 100 years. While the two of them were preparing a plan to rob the time bank to distribute it to the citizens in need, and the movie ended. What do you think of this movie? Please write your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit the like button, and support our channel by subscribing, so that we stay motivated to create more interesting content for you to enjoy. And see you soon.